Welcome, Mr. Vinatieri. Thank you for joining us. Ready to kick off the short interview?
I am. Let's have a little fun.
Welcome to El Paisano TV. I'm your host, Marisa Chavez. Today we are interviewing incumbent Mayor Joe Vinatieri for the general municipal elections in Whittier. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to sit with us.
Of course.
We have 5 short questions for you today so that our Whittier residents can learn more about you and your candidacy for the upcoming April elections. Before we get started, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I've been on city council since 2006, but we changed our form of government in 2016, and we went to a citywide elected mayor at that point in time, and I ran. It's the first citywide elected mayor. But what's most important is basically it's all about family and living in Whittier. And my wife and I live in the house I grew up with. I went to Whittier High School. I know you said you went to El Rancho, but we won't hold that against you. Went to Whittier High, and my wife and I have a restaurant called Auntie's right behind Winchell's on Greenleaf, which has great food. I know I'm not supposed to be doing a commercial, but it's a fun place because we get all kinds of people in. And in my real life, I'm a tax attorney. I do California state and local taxation. I represent companies who shoot rockets up in the sky to my favorite, well, I can't say Costco, but I represent Costco and another number of companies that do business in California. And those who do business in California, it's very taxable here. So it's kept me busy for a wonderful career. So that's kind of, there's other stuff, but that's good enough for now.
That was really interesting. Thank you for sharing. Now on to question 1. Let us know why the Whittier residents should entrust you with their vote.
Why they should entrust me? The reason why is I believe that the things that I stand for are what most Whittier residents stand for, and that's 2 things. Number 1, to make sure everybody's safe. Everybody is safe. Everybody is safe. And we want Whittier to be the best place in SoCal to raise a family. That means good schools like where we're at right now, elementary schools all the way up through colleges. And that's what I'm all about. And that's why I'm here. And it's been good because we've been able to build on that for the last several years. And it's going quite well right now.
For question 2, in your opinion, what is the biggest misconception about our city's administration?
The biggest misconception, I think there are people out there who basically are just negative. They're just negative Nellies. And it doesn't matter for those people what you're doing, how good things are going, they're just going to be negative. Misconceptions, it's real clear what the facts are. In this day and age, there's a lot of emotion and feelings. I get that. But I kind of want to stick to the facts, and that is that as a police department, we're fully staffed. As a fire department, we're adding actually 2 new paramedics, and we're putting in a brand new fire station for our firefighters on Hadley Street, which has earthquake problems. If there's an earthquake, there's a question. So we're building them a new fire station. We're the only city in all the LA County Fire Protection District that's doing that for our firefighters. We are putting in right now a brand new Parnell Park, and we're working on four parks at one time. Cities don't normally have that amount of money and the like, and the wherewithal to work on parks. Parks are for kids, and they're also for adults. And so we're pushing real hard on that. But the other thing that people aren't focusing on for whatever reason is the fact that we as a city are very fiscally prudent. We are very fiscally sound. We have a budget that takes us up to, it's our general fund budget, it's like $104 million, $108 million. We have reserves of about half that amount, which is unlike most other cities in all of Southern California. So things are actually quite good here right now.
On to question 3. If it's necessary to cut spending, where will you begin?
Well, thankfully right now, we don't have to cut spending. We're in good shape. We just received an award from the Government Finance Officers Association. I think it's our 5th year in a row, maybe longer, where this association comes in and looks at our budget. Remember, we're audited every year by outside agencies, the federal government, the state government. We're audited to make sure that what's on the piece of paper, and it's called Whittier Transparent, it's on our website. But as you recall, the voters of Whittier voted yes on Measure W a number of years ago, which upped our sales tax, which at the time, I'm not a big tax increase guy, but we needed it because we had been hit hard by homelessness, and we had issues relative to making sure we were fully staffed as a police department. So those monies went to those 2 areas as well as some others, and it was the people of Whittier who basically said yes to a tax increase, which is unusual. So we said, what we're going to do is we'll make sure that we're very, very transparent about it. So anyone who has questions about it, you can see it on the website. So we're in good shape. We have reserves, very good reserves. We are in an earthquake zone here. So you don't spend money that you don't have, which we don't do. And I'm very thankful to prior councils that always were very prudent in doing that, and they kept us right on line. So what we have now is we are in good shape financially. We don't need to cut, and if we do need to cut, there are areas that we can do, but I'm not going to get into that because right now things are good, and we're thankful for that.
With question 4, how do you respond to critics who say our public safety isn't working?
I'd say, once again, you better go look at the facts. I don't know if I have it here with me or not. I might. Public safety, we actually, I had a little chart here. Public safety, we're down 13% over 2024. In 2025, we went down 13% over 2024. Santa Fe Springs, which we also maintain, and we're there for them, also Whittier PD, they're down, I think it's 8%. My point is that we need to look at the facts, and we are down. The other thing that's happened here, and I hope your people who are watching will think about it, we at one time had a particular district attorney that would not prosecute misdemeanors. And that district attorney was ousted from office last year. So we now have Nathan Hochman, who is prosecuting misdemeanors. When I say misdemeanors, those are lower level crimes, but they're crimes of public safety that help us right where we live, that hurt us right where we live. And we had over 3,000 misdemeanors that the Whittier Police Department gave to the district attorney. He didn't prosecute. Those are basically people's out, they're out, they go into someplace, steal something, it's a misdemeanor, they get arrested, they're out on the street thereafter. They use that money to buy drugs, and when they're done with that, then they go out and they do the same thing again. It's this, going down, down, down. So we had a major problem with that. We're down 13% now. So I'm very, very pleased with our police department. We are fully staffed, and we use the latest in technology. We don't have time, but I'd love to tell you about drones and how Whittier PD uses drones. So we have just wonderful officers, and we're a family. We love our police officers.
With our final question, tell me of a time where you made a wrong decision and what did you learn from it?
I made a wrong decision. I still think about this after I got elected back in 2006 or 2007. In Whittier, when I grew up, we had fireworks, and we've celebrated the 4th of July out in the street. And I did all that fireworks stuff. It was great. Well, as it turns out, 2 of the other council members liked fireworks too. And so when I got on the council, I said, why don't we celebrate 4th of July with fireworks? And the 2 looked at each other and they said, we have our 3rd vote. So we voted to open up fireworks in Whittier and to sell them. And people came unglued. People who were very, very liberal, people who were very, very moderate, people who were very, very conservative. They all said, what are you doing? I said, we're celebrating 4th of July. And we ended up pulling back on that because, as it was pointed out, you know what? With fire danger in the hills, and this was before Palisades and Eaton Canyon, but with fire danger and there's a lot of crazy people running around. I said, you know what? And it was Councilman Henderson looked at me and he says, you know, Joe, once in a while we just miss the call, and we missed it on this one, and we ended up backing out and withdrawing from fireworks. And I learned at that point in time that a lot of the times you can study things and work real hard to try to understand what people want and how they feel about things, but sometimes you just miss it. And if you miss it, then you need to say, you know what, we got to change it. And we do that, and we need to be responsive. So that was a lesson I learned a long time ago. And I'm still listening and watching all the time, because there's always issues that are out there where people say, hey, you've made a mistake. And we say, we'll look at it.
And before we end our segment, would you like to add anything or share anything with the Whittier residents?
Yeah, I would. There's a lot of negativity going on. It has to do, I think, with Washington, D.C. and that. It came back, it's come to Whittier. And what's real interesting is I can't do anything about Washington, D.C. I can't do anything about Sacramento, but I can do something about Whittier. And what's great is local government is the government that's close to the people is the best government there is. We're always listening, and we always want to understand. But there are some people who sometimes think, well, I'm not being heard. And we do our best. In fact, Whittier kind of goes overboard in listening to people and having them talk and interact as compared to what I've been told with other cities. So we always want to interact, but we're listening. Sometimes we're just going to disagree. But what's important in being disagreeable is that we are reasonable and we respect each other and we listen to each other, because at the end of the day, we all live in Whittier, and we all want what's best for Whittier, and that's the bottom line. That's what I want. So I appreciate the opportunity to do this today with you, and I know you don't live in Whittier, but when you're ready to move to Whittier, let me know. We'd love to take care of you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Vinatieri, for taking the time to speak with us, and good luck on your candidacy. Remember, Whittier residents, Election Day is April 14th, so don't forget to vote. Thank you for watching.
Hello there, welcome Mr. Becerra.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. It's a pleasure to meet you. Are you ready to kick off this short interview for today?
I certainly am. Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, you're welcome. Welcome to El Paisano TV. My name is Damien Zamora, and today we have welcomed Mr. James Becerra, who is a mayoral candidate for the general municipal elections happening in Whittier. Thank you so much for taking the time to come out here. We know you're a busy person.
Yeah.
But today we have 5 short questions for you today, so that our Whittier residents can learn a little bit about you, a little bit more about you and your candidacy for this upcoming elections in April. Before we get started, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
I've lived in Whittier for 30 years and have every intention of retiring here. I taught at Cal Poly Pomona for 20 years. I'm a retired educator, taught in the College of Environmental Design. In the city of Whittier, I've been on boards and commissions for 20 years, so I've got a very good understanding of how City Hall works and what it's going to take to make improvements for the city. I've raised my kids here, and it's just a wonderful community that I care about, and I'm going to do my part in the political process.
All right, thank you so much for that information. Now on to our first question.
Yeah.
Let us know why the Whittier residents should entrust you with their vote.
They should entrust me with their vote because Whittier is not a failing city, but it's a stalled city, I believe. And I'm going to bring the energy and the vision that's going to be required to take Whittier forward. They've been trying the same old, and it's just not working. I could list examples, but Uptown's a good example. So I've got that vision, I've got that energy. I'm able to build coalitions. I'm able to bring in new voices, the kind of help that Whittier needs to go forward. And that's why they should vote for me.
Thank you so much. Off to our second question. In your opinion, what is the biggest misconception about our current city's administration?
Biggest misconception would be that they're operating with full transparency and have the best interests of all the residents at heart. I think there's a very unhealthy lack of transparency in city council. There's pending lawsuits related to all of this. We'll see what happens, let it play out in court. But I think it's a misconception that their council and mayor is being as candid and transparent as they could be. The other thing I would be concerned about is how we're dealing with some of our problems, particularly with homelessness. I think it's easy because we don't see it. That doesn't mean that we haven't addressed it. And I would like to bring in more help with the county facilities. Homelessness should not be treated necessarily as a criminal act, or it shouldn't require a police response. I think we need to bring in mental health workers. Homelessness is just a byproduct of our society and culture. I think we have to own that and address it that way. So there's a misconception, I think, that we're doing enough, and I don't believe we are.
Okay, thank you. For our third question, if it's necessary to cut spending, where would you start?
If it was necessary to cut spending, I would like to see a real strong analysis of the weapons procurement budget that Whittier PD has. They've got a very healthy and robust weapons procurement system. Perhaps it's been needed up to now, but I think we could, cuts are always painful on some level to somebody. But I think I would be willing to look at very aggressively where we could cut there, and maybe just for a year not get the full pop that they would like to have. I think that's one. The second one could be some of these, we've got several no-bid contracts out there. I think we could look at that. We might be able to do better. And the third cut I would like to see, the allocation of public works resources. I know public works is very important, but some of the things that we've been doing, replacing curbs at the rate they have, or some of the slurry seal programs that we have, I think we need to spread that around the city more, so it's a better use of the money. So it's maybe not a cut per se, but you're taking that same money and spreading it over in a different area over a longer period of time. So it's a better use of resources. But weapons procurement, for sure, I think we need to take a strong look at that, and I'd be willing to say we could shave a little money off the budget there.
Okay, thank you for your response. For our fourth question, how do you respond to the critics who say our public safety isn't working?
Public safety is always a concern, and it should be a concern. Whittier is, by and large, a safe city. I don't want to compare us to other cities, but if you're looking at it at pure numbers, Whittier is relatively safe. That does not mean crime doesn't occur, and that does not mean that people don't feel safe. So my point is, safety is as much about perception as it is anything else. What I would like to do, and I will do, is start allocating funds. It could be volunteers. Let's use Uptown. Bicycle and foot patrols. Okay, they don't have to be fully sworn officers. On a consistent, regular basis, whatever it might be, 5 days a week, 6 days a week. The strategy there is that when people see they're being protected, they feel they're being protected. They feel they're being safe. So again, safety, I would argue, is more about perception than it is statistics. And I think we need a more consistent, visible presence of safety officers, Uptown and the Greenway Trail, for instance.
Okay, thank you. And with our final question, tell me of a time you made a wrong decision, and what did you learn from it?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Tell me of a time when you made a wrong decision, and when did you learn from it?
Oh my gosh. I've made many wrong decisions. The short answer would be don't do it again. But what it's allowed me to do is gave me the wherewithal to try and analyze my condition, my situation before I make that decision, meaning try not to be so emotional or even rash, but that you can bring some sort of intellectual forethought, some sort of thinking about, do I really want to do this? I think some of that's a function of just maturity. But I've many bad decisions that I've paid for, but mistakes are part of living. I really believe I've learned from them. And but it's just allowed me to always remind myself, think twice. Make sure you really want to do this because you're not infallible. We often think we are, but just think twice about what you're doing here. Are you going to be willing to live with the consequences?
Okay. Before we end our segment, is there anything else that you'd like to add or share to the residents of Whittier?
Yeah, I just want to add it. I think we said this before we started. Whittier isn't a failing city, but it's a stalled city, and it's stalled because there's really no vision there with the current council or mayor. There's really no. They sort of keep trying the same thing, hoping it's going to. This time is the time, and I think I'd like to bring vision, new ideas, not change for change's sake, but I'm willing to. We think we need to change direction. I'm able to bring that vision. I have very good ideas grounded in an academic rigor, and I think I can take Whittier to where we need to be.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Becerra, for taking the time to speak with us today.
My pleasure. No, thank you and the whole Alt Paisano crowd.
Oh, you're welcome.
Appreciate it.
And good luck with you and your candidacy.
Thank you.
And remember, Whittier, election day is April 14th, and don't forget to vote. Welcome, Mr. Savage. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Sir. Are you ready to kick off this short interview for today?
Yes, I am.
Okay, perfect. Welcome to El Paisano TV. I am your host, Damien Zamora. Today we are interviewing mayoral candidate Isaiah L. Leon Savage for the general municipal elections in Whittier. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to sit with us today.
It's a pleasure and an honor.
All right,
Thank
sir.
you.
We have 5 short questions for you today so that our Whittier residents can learn a little bit more about you and your candidacy for this upcoming April elections. Before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been in Whittier for close to 40 years, a little over 36 years. I came here in the early 90s from Los Angeles, where I owned a bookstore. Before that, I was in the military. Before that, high school, all that good stuff. However, when I came to Whittier, I taught martial arts and worked with the sheriff's department in the VITA program, working with children in gangs and troubled homes. Since that time, I've just seen certain changes in Whittier that shouldn't be. I can say this. And when I saw that Whittier went from being self-sufficient to dependent, that's what pretty much made me get into the race. But ever since then, I've just been quietly doing community service. I used to give the tours at the Pio Pico Mansion, again with the VITA program, and I taught martial arts for about 10 years here.
Okay.
So, and the election, I think the first open elections after 2000, it actually started in 2016. So I've pretty much been in every election since it started. So there's not too much more to say. My children, born and raised here, my daughter's here, my son, my grandchildren here. So it's important that I get in this race, not just to get some type of recognition. And people that know me in the community know money, that's not my thing. Okay. And ever since then, like I said, 2016, I've been here running in the elections. I see things that needed to be changed, watching the city go from independent to dependent.
Thank you so much for sharing that information with us. So for our first question, let us know why Whittier residents should entrust you with their vote.
One, because my pledge is not to a party. It's not even to a governor or a president. I first took the oath to the Constitution in 1985, and it's a lifetime oath. So when it comes to protecting the community, there are no party lines. There's people that live under the protection of the Constitution and people that swear an oath to the Constitution to protect those people that live under the Constitution. So did that answer your question a little?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Thank you so much for your response.
Because I don't want to get long-winded on you. I have any time left?
So for our second question, in your opinion, what do you think is the biggest misconception about our current city's administration?
That they're doing a good job. I mean, I'm not trying to throw daggers or anything, but one, I explained to them in 2018 that a sanctuary city and a sanctuary state had literally been deemed unconstitutional because it was a violation of the Fourth Amendment, which means that it violates the homeowners, business owners, landowners of that nature, et cetera, et cetera. So, and that has to do with the paperwork that they would have to change. And in 2018, the Supreme Court deemed it a Fourth Amendment violation because, and another thing, sanctuary cities aren't sustainable. Again, we went from being a completely self-sufficient town to outsourcing practically everything, even essential things that, our restaurants used to be able to get right here. I don't know if you remember, but we used to have our own ice cream parlor. We had our own bread factory. What else? Oh, well, we had our own city workers. Yeah, we had that. That was in place. It was about 3,000 of them. You can vet it later if you want to. But we had our own city workers. So we went from having all that and being self-sufficient to going to outsourcing. And outsourcing is only a short-term solution. It's not something, it's like a Band-Aid. You put it on, but if the wound is bigger than the Band-Aid, you got to stitch it back up. So I'm basically seeing that they're not committed to fulfilling the obligations and the thing that the homesteaders and the settlers settled here. Self-sufficiency, independence, being able to do it on your own and providing for others.
All right, thank you so much for answering our question. For our third question, if it is necessary to cut spending, where would you start?
The council. Honestly, I know it's not hyperbole. I actually, because I guess I could say this, I don't want any money for the job. I don't. I've told them this in every race, you can keep your money. I'm not here for the money. However, because this is the sixth race, I figured out what to do. Should I have to take the money under the law? I would rather that money go into a annuity fund that would be for the town. Now, an annuity fund attached to a newborn's birth certificate and social security number, that means by the time that newborn's 18 years old, there's going to be at least 50, 60,000 at his fingertips with annuities. So to start a community annuity fund and have somebody trustworthy watching the money, but to start an annuity fund, it would actually create what is known as generational wealth. And our children won't have to be struggling to find a job or find a career. They'll be able to do whatever they want to do with that amount of money. But we don't have that right now. And to be in a town that has that type of ability and resources to start something like that and doesn't, it says a lot about their character. Are they really looking for the long term, or are they just about their pockets? And from what it's looking like, they're just about their pockets. But no, I don't want any money. And that's one of the first cuts that I would make, is that no one on the council, no, if you take this seat, you're doing it for free. Because it's not about the money. Just to be given the privilege and the honor. Service is an honorable life. I come from a military family, and I love serving. It's simple as that. Most people may not get that. But yeah, it's a good life. And you don't have to have money to serve. Just do it.
Perfect. Thank you so much for answering our question. With our fourth question, how do you respond to the critics who say that our public safety isn't working?
I would say that they are completely correct. There's 70,000 plus people here in Whittier. Now, by national standards, and you can, for those who want to fact check it, you can go to Sheriff Chief Bianco. Yes. And he can give you the national average of what each city is supposed to have per 10,000 residents. So we have, what they're saying is 80,000 residents. So that would literally come up to 480 policemen. We're not even scratching the surface at 130 right now. And 480 would just be meeting the bare minimal standards. My hope would to be put it up to 800 and have a ceiling on that, because 800 policemen are easier to rotate than 1,000. Yeah, and easier to deploy than just 480. So I hope I didn't get too far off topic for
No,
you.
no, it's okay.
All right, I got some time. We got some time. I got some. Hold on. Well, go ahead.
Thank you so much for answering our question. And for our fifth and final question, tell me of a time when you made a wrong decision, and what did you learn from it?
I listened to someone's opinion about this election, and it wasn't true. But sometimes, sometimes you shrink around your friends so you don't offend them or make them feel bad when you say, no, it's not like that. They get a little. So, and it actually happened recently, just letting people's opinion even bother me. And in the 2022 election, I believe that did happen just a tad. I let the opinions of others kind of sway what was going on. And I probably would have fought a little harder in 2020, because that's when the disaster struck, and they shut down City Hall for 2 years. So I would say that would be I wouldn't call it a mistake, because things happen the way they happen. So we can't really go back and say if I shoulda, coulda, woulda, because those cards are off the table. Everything stays in the now. So if we stay in the now, whatever problem happened in the past, if we stay in the now, we can make it better in the now. Then it'll make a better future. So I'm not trying to sound like Jesus Christ say or anything good. I'm not perfect, but I am present. So that would be it. I don't know if I answered that question to your specifics, because I'm sitting there literally trying to think of mistakes, and everything that I've been through led me to who I am now. So I couldn't call it a mistake. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like a gold or diamond. It got to go through pressure and fire to be refined to get where it's at. So I don't see any mistakes. Everything was just training to get me to this point.
All right. Thank you for your response. Before we end our segment, is there anything you'd like to share to the residents of Whittier?
Yes, I would. I would love all of you to come out and exercise your power. We are a republic, and I still put that challenge out to any of the college professors on the campus and anybody in the town. If you can find the word Democrat or democracy in the Constitution, I got a C note for you. However, you're not going to find it, so hint, hint, because we are a republic. When Benjamin Franklin stepped out of the First Continental Convention, he was asked one question: what are we? And he replied, a republic, if we can keep it. Not the government can keep it, if we can keep it. See, this is what I don't like about this administration. They don't make people aware of the power. And the definition of republic, in the fourth clause, it says the supreme power lies in the hand of the legal registered citizen. Oh, that kind of sounds like voter ID. But so that's what another thing that a little baffles me is, like, voter ID shouldn't even be an issue. That was the first thing put, because we are a republic, voter ID became automatically necessary, automatically mandatory, because that is the definition of a republic, where the supreme power is in the hands of the people. Now think about it. The preamble, we the people. It don't say we the government. No, it says we the people, which automatically emphatically says we are the ones that are in control. But for some reason, these administrations don't want the people to know that. And Whittier has the biggest voter block in Southern California. So people, I would say, use your power. Just a vote.
Thank you so much, Mr. Savage,
Pleasure. It
for
was a
taking the
pleasure.
time
Thank
to speak
you.
with us. No,
It
you're
was
welcome.
my honor.
Good luck to you and your candidacy.
Thank you.
And remember, Whittier residents, Election Day is April 14th, and don't forget to vote.